All right, guys, it is here. It is finally freaking here. The best video to make every single season, and that is my week one preview video as the Jaguars will travel to Houston this Sunday at 1 o'clock to face on the Houston Texans. Let's get it. Now, this is a lot more exciting than most other week ones. This is the real beginning of a new era. I've been doing this YouTube channel since 2017, and this is the very first time we've had any kind of coaching change with Urban Meyer in here. But what it is really all about is Trevor freaking Lawrence. And we haven't been looking forward to Trevor Lawrence since April. You know what I mean? We've been pretty much looking forward to him ever since freaking December. 9 months ago when the Jets decided that they wanted to win a random game against the Rams and defeat them, giving the Jaguars number one overall pick. Most Jaguar fans have been fantasizing since then. But me, myself, I have been on Team Trevor Lawrence since week 3 of 2020 when the Jaguars got demolished by the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. It has been a very long time coming, and finally, we get to see this guy in a regular season game. You know, we've seen a bunch of teases of him from training camp practices and the preseason, but now we finally get to see a full 60 minutes by Trevor Lawrence, and it's going to be awesome. We also get to come in here and get Urban Meyer in here. And Urban Meyer, he still has a lot to prove on the NFL level, but we pretty much got the big fish when it comes to the head coaching pool of candidates. As, you know, Trevor Lawrence attracts a guy like Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer, you know, while he hasn't really done it at the NFL level, you know, he was pretty much a top 3 college football head coach of this, you know, of the last 20 seasons, it would probably seem like. And, you know, he wanted to make a move to the NFL, wanted to wait for the right opportunity. He didn't need to do it, but he wanted to do it, and here he is now coaching the Jaguars, and it really is just such an awesome time. Now, the Jaguars will face on the Houston Texans, who the Jaguars have not defeated since 2017, and the Texans are a little bit of a mess right now. The Texans last year, they were 4-12. 2-12 outside of the Jaguars. And really, just the last few years, this management has not been very good. In 2020 offseason, they traded away DeAndre Hopkins and received a second-round pick and David Johnson, an old running back. Obviously, that wasn't very good. And this most recent offseason, we all know about all the Deshaun Watson drama with him not wanting to play for the Texans anymore. Then all of a sudden, all these, you know, things about these different allegations kind of come up with him. And it's got the Texans and Deshaun Watson in a really awful position because it is hard enough trying to come up with a good enough compensation for a top 5 NFL quarterback in the NFL when it comes to finding a good trade value for that, because really these teams try to find a franchise quarterback or anybody as good as Deshaun Watson, and most teams just completely strike out, including the Jaguars and the Texans before Deshaun Watson. But now they finally get him, and he wants out, and then it's hard to find trade compensation for that, a team willing to give up the assets, and now a team that's willing to take on the risk that this guy could face multiple years in prison if he gets proven guilty. Or he could be a guy that kind of walks away scot-free. It's just too much of a weird situation right now to basically mortgage an entire team's future for a guy facing all these allegations, as well as the Texans right now, where they don't want to, you know, trade him away for pennies on a dollar when they want full value for him. So it's a weird situation there. And also the thing about the Texans is that, you know, while they are not very good, they're an older team, and the reason for that is that they haven't had a lot of draft capital these last couple of years. You know, trading for Laramie Tunsil a couple years ago cost them 2 first-round picks, and this last draft, you know, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they didn't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick. So it's just been really bad managed by the Texans on their end. But when you look at the roster, I don't think the roster is that bad. And what the roster, the thing about the roster right now is that it lacks youth and it lacks a lot of great players. I mean, we've seen the Texans in the past with DeAndre Hopkins, top 5, Deshaun Watson, top 5 player, J.J. Watt was like a top 5 player, and they've had some good players kind of sprinkled in there too. But you know, lately now with those guys off the team, and now you look at the team and they're really not elite at any position. And this is kind of the same thing with the Jaguars right now that they're trying to look for. I mean, they have a good foundation of youth players, but they need guys to emerge and become elite players, guys that, we can build a franchise around and kind of bring us into the playoffs year in, year out. The Texans don't really have that. Now, trotting out this game, they have Tyrod Taylor, who has been a pretty solid starter. I don't know. He's not really even solid starter. He's a low-end starter, high-end backup. He's 32 years old, and, he's a guy that no NFL team has truly believed in. He was a starter for the Bills. They didn't believe in him. They moved on to Josh Allen. Then later on, the Cleveland Browns, had him, but drafted Baker Mayfield. Same thing with the Chargers, where they had him, but then they drafted Justin Herbert. And then now with the Texans, they have Tyrod Taylor, but they drafted with their first pick, they drafted Davis Mills. However, their first pick did not come until the third round. And, Davis Mills is a guy that will probably sit for a little bit because he's only had 14 total games played in college. So he's an extremely raw prospect when it comes to that. So Tyrod Taylor will probably get to be able to play for several games, but he's a guy that he's been known for really his running ability these last, really throughout his career. But now that he's 32 years old, I don't know how fast he really is. I can be honest with you, I haven't watched a full game of Tyrod Taylor really since the Jaguars played him in the playoffs. You know what I mean? That's really the last time I saw a full go of him. But, his thing, he can be a little bit inaccurate. He doesn't get the ball downfield very well. And, that's kind of the traits of a backup quarterback. So, the Jaguars, they need to be able to work Tyrod Taylor this game. Tyrod Taylor is no interception machine, and he's no slouch. We're not going out here and playing a Nate Peterman. But at the same time, we're not going against Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of what that is over there. Also, running back, their running back room is extremely interesting. They have Rex Burkhead, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, all guys that have produced on decent levels. A bunch of guys that have had 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Just a bunch of them are very old. Rex Burkhead came over from the Patriots. Mark Ingram, 11th NFL season. David Johnson, he's 29 years old now. And then Philip Lindsay, he's probably the most upside out of here. He's 27 years old, going into his 4th NFL season. His first 2 out of 3 seasons, he had 1,000-yard rushing season. So he's probably the high end there. But there's no one that really blows a top off here. It's the same thing at wide receiver. Just a bunch of guys from other teams. Brandon Cooks, Chris Conley, Danny Amendola is over there, and Anthony Miller. So, they're a team that they haven't had a lot of draft capital. So what they're doing right now, what it looks like they're doing is they can't start the rebuild this year. I think it's going to start next year. Once the Deshaun Watson stuff kind of smooths out, I think then they're going to look to be able to get some draft capital for that, and then they'll move forward, with their whole rebuild. Right now, they had to get guys, out of nowhere to come in here on like 1-year deals and kind of come in here just to have some bodies, and then all of a sudden they're going to start really their full rebuild. So that's, with the Texans, like I said, man, they have a lot of guys that have produced in the league. They have a lot of veterans. When you compare the Jaguars versus the Texans, the Jaguars, you look at them and you're interested in them, 1, 2, 3 years down the road. Texans, you look at them right now and it's like, okay, they got some players, but, where's the youth on the team? They just don't have a lot. So that's going to have to come really in the next few years. So on the Jaguar side of things, the great thing about this is right now, obviously we've had a couple injuries with ETN out for the year. Also, Tavon Austin is on the IR. But other than that, the Jaguars, the guys that are on the roster, active roster right now, they're all very healthy except for Trey Herndon, who's going to miss this next game, and Tyson Campbell, who limited participant, but it does look like he will be able to go for this game on Sunday, dealing with a little bit of calf issues. So that's kind of his deal. But like I said, Tyson Campbell should be the slot guy, and we should be good to go on that end. So, the Jaguars players are healthy, and, especially this is good on the offensive line. As the offensive line, we didn't see the whole unit out there during the preseason. The interior of their line, I don't know if they were probably just preseason hurt, where they were too hurt to go into preseason, where they didn't want to just throw them out there, but probably could have played in a regular game. But the interior of this line is back. The tackles are all going to be there. So I'm expecting some better plays out of that. We didn't see the run game going at all. That's a big thing I want to see this game, is the run game. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. First thing I do want to talk about with the Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence should start off pretty well. I mean, usually when you throw rookie quarterbacks out there, their first few games, they have a lot of success. And that's because a lot of NFL teams don't really have film on them. And, like I said, they don't have a lot of film on Trevor Lawrence outside of Clemson stuff. And another reason why Trevor Lawrence should start off well and needs to start off well is because this schedule is at its easiest point in September. You know what I mean? 3 out of 4 of the teams that they play, with the Texans, with the Broncos, and with the Bengals, finished 2020 with double-digit losses. And then once you go into October, every single team we play had winning records. So really now is the time if you want to make any kind of run toward the end of the year, if you want to be in the hunt at all. I know we're not expecting playoffs this year, but I would at the very least like us to be competitive and like there to be some meaningful games in December where, if we rally off a couple, we could get into the playoffs. But if we want any chance of that, we've got to, win at least, we got to go at least 2-2 in September. I would say at least 3-1. So Trevor Lawrence needs to start off well. One stat going against Trevor Lawrence, and I got this one from JP Shadrick on Twitter. Since 1967, quarterbacks that were drafted number 1 overall in the first game of the seasons are 4-20-1. That's 4 wins, 20 losses, and 1 tie. And none of these number 1 picks have won a game since David Carr did in 2002. There's been 13 quarterbacks in that stretch. Now, that's not a very good stat, but you could also make the argument that, look, teams that are drafted number 1 overall are terrible. They're just downright terrible. That's why they're picking number 1. I would doubt in 90% of these circumstances that team is favored in week 1. And the Jaguars going against the Texans are favored against them. Hell, the Jaguars probably didn't even have to do anything to get favored this offseason. Texans just kind of self-imploded on themselves. But so it's kind of going in Trevor Lawrence's favor with that. And we got a pretty good opponent to start off with against in week 1 for this. So hopefully the Jaguars can add to that stat line when it comes to Jaguars actually winning this game. Now, some things I want to see this game. I want to see the run game return, and I think that will with James Robinson and with the interior of the line coming back healthy and just with being able to do a little bit more on offense. I mean, this offense this preseason was just hand the ball off the middle and just kind of drop back and throw, 3-step drop type of stuff until, really in Dallas where they started kind of moving the pocket a little bit. But I would expect, once Trevor Lawrence starts stretching the field, that's going to open up the run game. I mean, I would start this game off by throwing. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into a situation where, say we get the ball first and then we go run, pass, run, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 pass. And then all of a sudden we have to punt the ball off. Texans get the ball at the 40, and then we're losing the field position battle the first half. I don't want that to happen. You know what I mean? I think the run game needs to return, but I would do that through the passing game. Definitely, I want to get Trevor Lawrence kind of going early. And I'd also like to see the defensive line rush the passer. I think one of the most important things the Jaguars did this offseason, outside of getting a quarterback, was fixing the run game. I mean, the Jaguars on their run defense, they were horrible last year, just horrible. I mean, teams could have just run the ball every play and still won games just because Jaguars didn't have anything there. They did some good things to solidify the defensive line with bringing in guys like Malcolm Brown, Roy Robertson Harris, also guys like Devon Hamilton coming back healthy this season. But, who's going to rush the passer? We didn't see Josh Allen at all this preseason. And who's going to be that guy outside of Josh Allen? First of all, we want Josh Allen to make that big step forward, which I hope he will. But outside of that, is Chason going to step up? Is Jihar Ward going to step up? We saw some sacks in the preseason, but a lot of those sacks came from the quarterback holding the ball a little bit, the pocket kind of breaking, and some guy just kind of breaking their block and kind of going in and getting the sack. We didn't see a lot of one-on-one, slapping hands away, one-on-one, bend the edge type of sacks. We didn't see a lot of that. So I want to see, some sacks emerge out of this game and just, see where we're going to get this pass rush. That's my biggest concern about the defense really is the defensive pass rush, just because outside of Josh Allen, I don't know where it's going to come from. I mean, we need Chason to come out and do some things this game, but I don't know how much we can really rely on that at the moment. Another thing that I did want to mention this game is that right now on the depth chart, a lot of people are freaking out because Andrew Wingard is right now over rookie Andre Cisco on a depth chart. And there have been several depth charts that have come out this season. And me personally, I've never really looked into a lot of them. I know these things come out and they're interesting to read, and you have all the different Jag blog sites coming out with articles about the depth chart. But me, you guys know me on this channel, I don't post videos because I think they're going to get clicks. I post things that I think are worthwhile to post and things that I want to talk about and things that I can really add some knowledge to or add some commentary to. And the depth chart has been something that's been completely fake to me. I mean, all you have to do is read the first line, Gardner Minshew or Trevor Lawrence as first-string quarterback, then you could just kind of throw it out. And that's kind of what's been happening this offseason. Rookies have worked their way up. CJ Henderson was like the third. It was like this, like the third cornerback, like behind like Trey Herndon and like Chris Claybrooks, I think, on one. And then now he's like, top of this one. Everything's kind of falling into place right where we thought it would be after the draft, except obviously the Joe Schobert trade with Damian Wilson starting. Everything's been in line except for the Wingard and Andre Cisco thing. But I would think that, a smart mind like Urban Meyer, Andre Cisco will start week one, especially on a team that, look, we had not had a lot of turnovers this preseason and last season, and Cisco's a guy coming over from Syracuse that had a bunch of, interceptions. It seemed like pretty much one per game. So, we need that turnover ability, and I would expect, Andre Cisco to start this game. And if Andre Cisco doesn't start, I would expect him to be kind of brought in there pretty soon because we all know that he is better than Andrew Wingard. Another thing I wanted to talk about is returners, like kick returner and punt returner Jamal Agnew will make his Jaguar debut. And I'm really interested in seeing this guy because Urban Meyer basically said that, look, the reason why this guy has not played in the preseason is because he is too valuable to lose right now. That's some really telling words because we saw pretty much everybody playing in the preseason. And the Jaguars, it's low-key been a revolving door at that kick returner, punt returner position. We've seen guys like D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole, Chris Claybrooks. We have never, since really I've been watching the Jaguars, really solidified that position. And I'm hoping that with Jamal Agnew, we kind of do that now. So, Jamal Agnew, I'm kind of excited to see him and really see where this money is going to because we paid him a fat contract and we haven't really seen him. So this will ultimately be his pretty much debut out here. And other news today, captains were announced. There were a total of 7 captains, all voted on by the team. Coaches do this differently. Sometimes there's one special teams, one offense, one defense type of thing selected by the coaches. Sometimes there's multiple. Sometimes they're selected by the team. And this time there was a team vote. 3 offensive guys, 4 defensive guys. The offensive guys are center Brandon Linder, wide receiver Marvin Jones, and quarterback Trevor Lawrence. And on the defensive side of the ball, Josh Allen, linebacker, another linebacker, Miles Jack, safety Rayshon Jenkins, and cornerback Shaquille Griffin. A few things that I thought were interesting out of this is 4 out of these 7 guys are first-year Jaguar players. 3 of these guys are free agents and obviously rookie Trevor Lawrence. It's cool to see that, look, like these veterans that they brought in, it looks like they are doing their part when it comes to actually being a leader on the team because they were voted by their peers to be a captain of the team. So obviously, we haven't seen any production yet. I mean, we have to kind of throw away preseason and act like we didn't see it. Production starts on Sunday. We haven't seen any production yet. But what we have seen is that this team respects these guys. The team respects these free agents enough to elevate them to a captain role, which is obviously a great sign to see. And also, Trevor freaking Lawrence is a captain. You know what I mean? Trevor Lawrence is a guy, you listen to him speak, he sounds like an 8-year vet, but he's only a rookie. And sometimes we're going to hold him to that 8-year vet standard. And sometimes we might have to take a couple steps back and say, okay, this guy is a rookie. But really cool to see kind of him getting voted on as captain. I don't even think last year Gardner Minshew was voted on as a captain. So just really telling stuff that, the offense and just the whole entire team in general sees this guy as a leader. It seems like really the team loves Trevor Lawrence and really likes him as a teammate. It seems like Trevor Lawrence has been a great teammate on these Jaguars. So really, really cool to see that. But with all that said, man, I can't wait for this game. I will be at this game. I will be leaving Saturday to go to freaking Houston to watch these Jaguars face on the Texans, watch the beginning of the Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer new era out here. I could not be more excited. I will be posting a lot of content, of vlogs, live streams, man. This is the place. If you're a Jags fan, this is the place you got to be, man. Stay locked into this channel. This is the community that you guys want to be at, man. I am not a guy. I'm not a, what do I want to say, reporter or beat guy for the Jaguars. I am a fan. I am a fan giving my opinions on the Jaguars to other Jaguar fans. You know what I mean? I try to kind of be the voice of fans out there, and I try to help you guys out when it comes to giving you guys a platform, whether it be, talking through the channel or giving you guys different apps like, Relevant, which I will be on a lot this weekend when it comes to doing different, live talks on their open mics over there. So if you guys haven't joined the Relevant app, definitely download that down below, because I'm going to be doing a lot of talk over the weekend, and I do a lot of open mics with people over there. So definitely come join the Relevant app down below. And I also want to give a big shout out to Thrive Fantasy. If you guys are into daily fantasy sports, DFS kind of stuff, if you guys are into fantasy football, that is a place that I will be really starting to play out a lot and really starting to promote going forward. I do have a promo code. If you guys hit the link down below, I have a link that can go there. Also, promo code Jaguar. You guys will basically get your deposit matched up to $100. So go over there. I mean, even if you want to throw down $20 and, play in the month of September, $5 each week, just try it out, see how you like it, man. It also helps me out too. And I'll be over there, and I'm going to be finding different competitions once I, use the app a little bit more, figure out what kind of stuff we can all kind of participate in. So, with all that said, man, thanks guys for watching. Go Jaguars, and I'm out.